We're right now at the time of having both today Hanukkah and also, unless you were down in the Australia and places, that was already yesterday. And so today we're doing this, and this will be the last show for this particular year of 2025. So I want to let you know that we thought that today would be a good day because I know that there'll be a lot of children that will be out of school. And I thought, you know what? We need to bring a person here and another lady that knows all about this. And so I want to really start off really pretty straightforward and get right into it. But I got to tell you this. It's very interesting that when you have a school superintendent sitting next to you, you have to remember, my gosh, I did that too. I sat next to one before. There we go. So Dr. Brendan Aspin, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rick. Thank you.
Good. Good to see you today, and appreciate that. And Christina Upchurch, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Well, good.
Nice to be here.
We're going to be discussing things today that both of you may not have ever thought about.
Okay.
And so we're going to reflect on this. But before we start today, I want to make sure that we know that our sponsors are here with us. And so last time I did it with DJ's Clam Shack first, but today is the She family first. And the She family has been so great with us. We extend our heartfelt thanks to them because they are one of the most generous and community-focused families in both St. Johns County, and they have Tringali Barn, which is a place that they always have, a premier event that has wedding venues and leadership, the leadership by Chris Shee. And we thank you again that because the family continues to support and uplift countless local causes, so many. Their commitment to giving back makes a lasting impact. And we are truly grateful, as they do, for our community. Thank you, the Shee family, and we ask you to continue to be with us and make St. Johns County better. And then we have DJ's Clam Shack, and I happened to be there this Saturday, and it was a beautiful day here in St. Augustine, and I had been with me one of the former chairmans of the commissioner with me, who was waiting to have that daggum good lobster roll. So if you come to DJ's Clam Shack on 21 Hippolyta Street, that's just on your way. If you're walking down, you walk towards the south. There's a big place to park. Not very easy right now, but the DJs they were there. They're from the born in the Florida Keys and rooted in New England tradition. And they have so much. The DJs serves up lobster rolls, and they're really good, fried clams, conch fritters, and more. They also have them in Key West. And their fried clams and fritters, they're made fresh with the highest quality ingredients you'll love. And they were born there in the Keys. They have still in the Keys. They're here in St. Augustine. They're in the up in New England. They're along the way near Fort Pierce. They're all over the place. And you know what? They're open every Tuesday through Sunday from 11 to 9. And it's the perfect spot to grab a bite, stroll the old straight cities here in St. Augustine, and taste one of the best seafood experiences in the country. So that's where our sponsors are, and we look forward to having you see them somewhere, maybe during this time that during the holidays. All right. So going back with you again, and I'm just going to call you a doctor because you have a PhD.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do is to have you tell me a little bit about your life, but I'll interrupt you from time to time.
All right. Definitely.
So Dr. Aspin, go ahead and tell us that as to how where you started and why you're here.
All right. So you want me to start? How far back do you want me to go, Rick?
Well, I can go back to the time that you were down in Fort Myers.
Oh my, that is going back.
So I think I can tell you a little bit more about that than you probably did.
Probably could.
And I think you had a farm down there, and you were in a rural area.
Absolutely.
And so I know that because I grew up in a little town called Mango, Florida.
Oh, all right.
And but that was when I had gone through another place, but I'm right near Seffner, Turkey Creek, and Plant City. So there, I don't have all those other big cities like you did, like Sarasota and Naples and all those high-end places. So there you go. So tell us a little bit about being down there.
Yeah, so we moved to Florida when I was 2 years old. My dad used to play professional baseball, and so he had spring training right there in the Fort Myers area. And so we moved down once he finished up with baseball, and lived right there in Fort Myers, North Fort Myers, and we had a farm. We had 40 cows all the time, and horse and chickens.
How about pigs?
Pigs, couple of pigs. Yep. And went to school there, and I had three younger sisters, and my mom was she was in food service for our school, so she was our cook.
She worked in the cafeteria, didn't she? She did some cleaning and stuff. I think we have a picture of that.
Yeah, she cooked our food.
But it's not her, so I'll tell you who it is. Yep. That's you in a cafeteria in a school here in St. Johns County.
That's right.
So you knew exactly what your mom was doing because you see
Absolutely.
that.
That's right.
it. I just wanted to make sure
That's
you know that.
That's right.
All right.
And so she cooked. She was our cook at school. And then I remember we always, my dad would come at the end of the day. He worked for the phone company. He would come at the end of the day and pick up all the slop.
That's right.
I guess that was left over, and then we'd take that home and feed it to the pigs.
Right.
And so that was fun. We had a good time.
Did she become a teacher then later?
She did. She went to college when I went to college, actually, and became a teacher. Yeah. She was a math teacher in Seminole County at Seminole High School, and then became the registrar after that. So she's I'm very proud of her and raising us, all four of us kids, and then her going to college and getting her degree and moving forward. Yeah. So
why did you want to get involved with schools then? How did that happen in your life?
So when I was growing up, I was always really, really good at math, and I would help my friends and help tutor my friends and everything. And so when I went to college, my first 2 years was actually on a baseball scholarship, and that was for...
That's because your dad had already taught you what to do.
That's right. And so that was at Seminole State College and in Seminole County there. And then when I left there, I went to Florida State and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I met some people at the at the education department. And, you should be a math teacher. I know you're really good with math. You love it. And so that's how really it came about. I loved the subject and I loved helping people.
Right.
And I thought, well, it'd be great to be a math teacher. And so that's what I did.
That's right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more. I just wanted to get a little start going, and you know that I'll be asking you some of these same questions down the road. But now it's your turn. So, Christina, I know a little bit about you. I know that you graduated University of Florida, and I know you have a master's degree. Mm-hmm. So, but let's tell me a little bit more why you started off in Jacksonville.
So I was born in Jacksonville. So I'm one of the...
That'd be a good start. That's so was Dylan, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I was born to my father and mother moved down here because my dad, they were starting Kent campus for FJC at the time and knocking down the Army barracks and building the campus
out there. Off of Roosevelt Boulevard. Yeah.
Yes. And so I grew up off of Mandarin Road on the river. And my mother was a school teacher in Duval County. For more than 30 years. And my father was a college professor. He retired at 60 and then traveled the world. So I grew up the oldest of three girls. I went through the public school system and graduated from Wolfson and then went on to the University of North Florida and then the University of Florida. So
that's right. You got your master's at the University of Florida.
I did. And I've had the opportunity to go back and and teach at Flagler College, which I've really loved.
You do that for quite a while now.
I did
on a master's program
since
too.
2013. I did it for their public administration program.
Right.
So went back. My degree is in public relations, and so as is my master's. And so I went back and have given back to students at Flagler and made some really great relationships and friendships through the way.
How are you so involved with with our superintendent and with all the people here in St. Augustine, in St. Johns County, and all the schools? How are you involved with that?
So I worked for the city of Jacksonville for a little bit over 12 years.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay. And so I joined the school district in 2011, and you think you're going to be somewhere for always and forever, and retire from that place, and then you get afforded your free agent status, against your will, but you end up somewhere so much better. And that's what happened for me. And so
you're an executive director.
I am. I'm an executive director for community relations, which is a really mixed bag within the district. We have a lot of different disciplines under my purview, and I love it. I love being here. I love our new superintendent. I loved our last superintendent. I love the superintendent before him. So it's great. I love doing things for the kids of St. Johns County. And watching our students grow. One of the things that's under my purview is student leadership. And so that happens at every level in our district. And I love watching at every level the students grow and become leaders.
All right. Well, we'll come back and do some more and stuff as well. So as you were growing up and doing all of these things, and you did that first as a teacher, and then you moved on. You decided to do some other things and both be a teacher, and you also stayed on to be also an assistant superintendent.
Yes. So I was a teacher in Seminole County, taught math, obviously, and then became a dean, and then an assistant principal, and then a principal, and I was principal.
So you went through all of those categories.
Yep.
Yeah.
Principal at 2 different middle schools in Seminole County, and then came to St. John's in 2006. And was principal at Bartram Trail High School.
Okay, and that's where I thought I saw where you came in this area.
Right.
So now that's how did that happen?
Well, I'd been in Seminole County for 18 years, and my wife used to teach in St. Johns County.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She was an English teacher at Nice High School back in the day.
Right.
Before I even knew who she was. And and so we decided, hey, you know what? Let's take a look. We've been in Seminole County for 18 years. Why don't we take a look elsewhere?
Right.
And so I saw the opening and put in for it, and talked to Dr. Joyner, interviewed and everything, and ended up being the principal at Bartram Trail.
Well, you were fortunate to be able to be with Dr. Joyner.
Oh, he was fantastic.
So as everybody here, unfortunately, he had a very medical condition, and it just affected him significantly. So, but he helped bring us to be number one.
He sure did. He definitely did. And he brought the academy concept to career academies.
Yeah.
He's done so many things for.
Yeah, he's been very excellent for us as well.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into those kind of questions a little bit, because I knew that as I was looking at some of those things that I saw, and I'll share that with you and ask you more than that. So I saw as I was looking at this that several things have happened. That first of all, that you have been so active, that you have had and gone through so many things even that way. After you had been in Fort Myers and on the way on a school bus route and did the same things there, that at one point in time you were in school, and I remember you saying, "It ain't so." And I think that you saw that there were some other people that had struggles like you, that shows that they were not people that were not smart.
I see what you're saying. Yes. So now I remember what you're saying. Yeah.
That's right. So how did you get out of the "I ain't so"? Because for me, it ain't so.
No, well, it was growing up on the farm, down in Fort Myers, and then when I was 13, we moved to Orlando, and I went to Lake Brantley High School, And I remember,
Every kids are saying things like that.
Just from my very first day, going in, and the vocabulary was much different than the vocabulary that I had from being on the farm down there, right?
Sure.
And so that was what it was. I used to use the word ain't all the time. That was part of the vocabulary. And so got to Lake Brantley, nobody's using that word, and everybody's, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? This is, and so I completely changed my whole vocabulary. And that really, when I look back, that helps me understand how students
our students too, and our students here in St. Johns County, how they could be the same very qualified people to do anything as long as someone helps them walk through it.
That's right. It's it has a lot to do with your environment, your background, your family, and being brought up, and how things work when you're growing up, and what you're used to, what and then you go to a different area and it's completely different. So when you look at the SAT test, for instance, I can see how there might be supposed bias because of the background that you've had and the vocabulary that you are used to, depending on where you grew up and the environment. You might miss some questions, or you might get some that others don't know. And I used to use the word lariat, for rope.
Right.
And when I was at Lake Brantley, nobody knew what lariat meant.
No.
So it just depends on where you are, and the breezeway. What's a breezeway? Well, people don't know what a breezeway is. I didn't know.
You got to walk through it.
You have to live in the city to know what a breezeway is.
Well,
right?
I can share this with you. That as I got going as myself, because I did very similar things. My grandfather and grandmother on my dad's side were in Brown City, Michigan. And so I knew every daggum country person there. I knew where to get everything I wanted. The food was so great at noon that it was, you could not afford to go again. You could never stop eating. And I knew all of those things that fell into that. And I could also share with you that every time that you think that you're not who you are, God leads you to who you are and shows you the way. And so I don't know how it happens, but growing up in Mango is a real small town that there was only one, not even a red light, but a caution light that you could drive through. And that's where I would walk to school.
Okay.
And so that's the same thing that you get to. And I remember when we were actually, there was a sixth grade, not sixth, that would have been, sixth grade teacher that was very fantastic, but she got out and they had to bring in somebody else to take it for that time, who was very old. And I can tell you that I know what very old means now, but I don't feel it. So there you go. So what happens is that they were some really people that had failed so many classes that they were older than the teacher themselves. So they ended up doing these different things with things that you could shoot bullets on at that time, and you could shoot it with a little thing that you had in your hand, and they aimed it at the daggum teacher, and we had to have the whole police come in. So that was long before all of these murders that are going on in the schools today. And so I can see where you are when you're trying to get better, not being worse. And so what do we want to be? We want to be a better school than the one we had before.
That's right.
And so that's why you're here.
Yes.
That's why you're
yes,
here.
sir.
So I know that. So as part of what you were doing, I wanted to also ask you this question too. And then I'm popping back over to you there, Christina. So don't think it's over yet. So hang on a minute. All right, we'll do it opposite that. So when you're now doing things, you have a principal here, not as a teacher, but the principal with the LE, not with the AL. You have a principle about what you're doing to helping this community. And you have a basis for doing that. And the basis relates to what? What is your if you were to read the story of St. Augustine teachers and all of our community, what is it that you're looking for others to know?
Yeah, so I think, I believe truly that our foundation of our St. Johns County school system and St. Johns County is the character piece. Having good character, having high integrity, honesty, trustworthiness, transparency, all those things are so critical to every single thing we do. And Tommy Allen, I don't know if you remember Tommy
Sure.
Allen, but he used to always say, we're gonna raise smart kids, but we're also gonna raise good kids. And in order for us to teach and do what we need to do in the school system, you need to help students understand how to behave and what their character should look like, and all of the adults as well. And so that's very, very important for us. And then moving forward with educating our students so that they can compete in the world when they leave us, whether it's college, military, or the workforce. Very, very important for us to do that. So teaching students about character, and then also teaching students the content that they need when they leave us.
Well, we're going to come back and talk about Hastings here in a minute.
Okay.
So we'll pop that over and stuff, but I want to kind of get into what you're doing, Christina, to helping this. I know you're doing with the students a lot. They actually have some students that are in a program with you that they can participate in and help make decisions. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing and how that's helping our community.
So we have what is called the Superintendent Student Advisory Council that we meet with quarterly, and we really use that group to get insight and feedback and to spark conversations. We have a school board, but the Super SAC, the Student Advisory Council, that's just a group of students made up from each school, about three students from each of our high schools. So juniors and seniors. And they may look like a small group, but they're a mighty group. They've got a big voice. And so we periodically will have them come and present to the board about their experiences. We just had a meeting with them last week, I believe, and just a really great, involved, talkative group that provide us a lot of insights that we can take back on our cabinet level and talk about things that we've learned. We also, the character counts piece that the superintendent just mentioned, that's a big piece within my department. And so we do a character counts run. We do a lot of character counts events, building onto character counts. We have Pursuing Victory with Honor, which is more athletically driven. And so our students sign a contract for Pursuing Victory with Honor. And then we also have what's called Sources of Strength and Link Crew and Web, which is where everyone belongs. So that Web gets into the middle school group and has leadership opportunities there, as well as Link Crew at the high school level, kind of transitioning those freshmen into that, using juniors and seniors to do that. And then Sources of Strength, which we've pushed down to the middle school level and eventually are aiming to get it in the elementary level as well. But it really provides that peer support and connects students to individuals, trusted adults within their schools that can help them through tough times. And so I'm really proud of all those programs.
That's great. That's great. Well, I know that that there is another nonprofit organization that does soccer, and the Flagler is doing that with them to help their characters. And Tony Williams had been on this program as well, because that's the same things that you're describing now, helping these people become better citizens, better people, being able to do things so much more than they could ever do because they now are joined together as a group, not just by themselves.
Right. I think there are so many groups and organizations that are augmenting the efforts of the school district. And I think that is just wonderful that so many are out there trying to build character. And so it doesn't all happen in the classroom. And so I think the more groups and opportunities that our students have to be better people and great people and is a really good thing.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's good. So as we know, you just said that you're also having these people that are not going to college that can still do something in life that they would enjoy. And so tell me a little bit about what's going on in Hastings that'll be happening in just a couple of years.
Right. So in Hastings, we have the old Hastings High School that was built in 1924. And so right now we're remodeling that building. And it's going to be fantastic.
About 20,000 square feet?
Yeah, approximately 20,000 square feet. And we should complete that project in December of 2028. 28. And so once that is all remodeled, we will have a few different I guess you'd say workforce education type classes that people in Hastings or anywhere in the surrounding area can take advantage of. One being early childhood, and it'll allow for students to learn about early childhood, but also it allows for the folks who live there to drop their students off, to drop off their babies or their kids, so that we can take care of them. And so it's a win-win. We're helping them, and then our students are learning from that and receiving certifications from that. Also, cosmetology is something that's going to be out there. We're looking at cybersecurity. Also, the GED program will be there. And then
on AI, you're doing some stuff on AI as well.
Yep, a little bit of AI. And then in the back of the building, we are going to build another building back there that's more of a manufactured kind of look. And we will have our diesel mechanics out there. And then we're also looking at alternative energy out there as well. All of these are high demand, higher pay type positions when you become certified and you can move right in. And as you know, on our main campus at our First Coast Technical College, we have, welding and nursing and
I wanted to go through the technical school. Yeah.
All of that. And, our automotive students, they come right out of there after 18 months and they are picked up by Cadillac and Bozard Ford and other dealerships to help them in the mechanics area. And then with diesel, we hire the diesel mechanics when they come out and help us with our buses, because we have 13 diesel mechanics, and you always have some attrition, and so we like to hire them out of our own college that we have. So
and so in addition to that, I know that some of the other thoughts that you've been talking about, because I've sat with you and listened to that at the Rotary, that there's so many different ways to help the teachers get money. And I know that teachers do so many things for people that you can't even describe it. And I think pretty much that's where it is. And I know that that teachers are more than just people in classrooms.
Yes.
And they leave you make it so important to you for the rest of your life. Yes. And either they were good or bad, you'll remember that. And so I knew that. So how are we doing to be able to get them? Because the teachers aren't getting paid what we should be paying them. And that's pretty much true with our first responders. It's with everybody that is here to save us and protect us and guide us and do all these things. It's not about money. It's about how we can keep them here. And I know that you've had a number of teachers drop, that was especially ones that were less than 5 years in the school system. So tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So first of all, as far as our teachers are concerned, we do have excellent teachers. We only hire the very best teachers, and we have them. They are amazing. They're doing a great job. And then it's a matter of, can we compensate them properly? And part of that is, the referendum that was just voted on by the community. We thank the community so much for voting for that. That allowed us to bring in $61 million, 85% of which we were able to give a stipend to the teachers and all of our employees. And that has really helped. It has helped because our retention levels have increased. Retention have increased. Resignations has decreased over the last, just since the summer. And so that's really great. We need to make sure we keep our teachers. We have great teachers, and they when they're here and they're working in their groups, it can only get stronger. Just like any other team, it can only get stronger if you have the same people. If you're always, if you always have attrition and you're always training people and moving new people in, that's not great for any organization or the students. So that has really helped us a great deal. And then, on top of that, every year we'll receive new dollars coming in from the state for, the increases in inflation and the increases in supplies. And you just hope that there's also a little bit there for increases in salaries. But the referendum has really helped fill the gap in that, so to speak. And I know the teachers are very happy about that. And like I said, we're able to continue to keep the great teachers that we have And I believe it has everything to do with that referendum that was voted upon.
Well, as I was reading, though, some of the information that there was at one point in time something like 1,700 people leaving
Mm-hmm.
that were less than 5 years as a teacher.
That's correct.
And did they leave because of they didn't get enough money to be able to do it?
Yeah, there were probably a few different reasons. I know, coming off of 2022, off of
Sure.
COVID and everything, a lot of people were kind of questioning whether they wanted to continue to teach during that time period. And then moving into, 2023, the 22, 23, salary increases were only like 1.5%, and inflation was going up 3%. So you
Right.
could never,
They were
ever
losing
stay
money.
up, right, with it. So, so yeah, and during the first 5 years, it is tough. I mean, that's when you're learning how to be a teacher. You're learning everything about that. And, the research always says if you can get past those 5 years as a teacher and continue on, you're going to be fine because you're going to go through and you're going to love it and everything else. But it's the other things. It's not just teaching your students. You have the administrative, the reports, all the things that we have to send to Tallahassee, for instance, and
Sure.
reporting and so forth. All of that can get overwhelming as far as the administrivia piece, And then, when you have 20, 25 students in front of you every single day,
Right.
a good teacher understands how to operate with all those different personalities and still be able to teach and help students critically think. Right now we have around 1,300 people who are here in their second career. So they've done something else and now they're here to teach. And a lot of them, part of what their training needs is that they need to be trained in classroom management. And so we work with them on that. And there's quite a few people who realize, in the first week, this isn't for me. It's very difficult to organize the behavior and manage the students while you're trying to teach your class. And so there's a lot to it. And so the people will leave us for that reason. Sometimes they leave because their spouse moved to a different job. There's many different reasons. But I do think, like I said, the dollars, that base salary, just trying to keep up with inflation and be able to survive and have ends meet personally, that referendum has really helped in that sense. And our resignations have really decreased because of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we were talking a little bit about the students themselves just a few minutes ago, how have they been talking with you about all of these different shootings that take place in schools all over? We know we just had a whole bunch again that in colleges and stuff too, and it seems so difficult to be able to help them. And I can imagine the parents, and I certainly for me with grandkids that I'm concerned about how that works and how that would be protected as much as possible. Have the students had any conversations about that at all? I know you have a lot of programs that you do
Right.
to teach them how to prepare and close doors and all of that, but tell me what they have said. Tell me about the students.
So that really gets down at the school level, and we have those support systems in place to help students who want to talk about whatever the situation is. We as a district are very hyper focused on safety and security. And so the more opportunities that we have to talk about safety and security, and that's something that we talk about with students, and, do you feel safe? And it's a resounding yes, because we have put all of these things in place. We have put a very high emphasis. We have a great relationship with our sheriff's department. The referendum has helped us. When Dr. Asplund talks about 85% going for salaries, a lot of the other 15% is going for safety and security,
Right.
just to help make our students feel secure, make our parents feel secure. And we want to make sure that we're doing the drills and things like that to also be practicing the things that make us feel safe. And so just a really huge emphasis on safety and security within our district, and have gone with state-of-the-art technology to help us have those safeguards in place for our students. And so I think our students come in the doors and they do feel safe, and they know to go to a trusted adult if they don't feel safe, and have those conversations.
But have you had any direct communication where the different members of the students have said to you, hey, we need you to do this or do that, because we've talked with people around all the time? Because you're not there, they're talking with everybody. They know who's there. They know who's having problems. They know who's having mental issues. We know the people that are unwilling to do anything. So how does that work for what you've heard from the students themselves?
So we have an app called Fortify Florida, which allows students to go on if there's anything, any kind of emergency situation. And a lot of what we see are students concerned with their friends or, feelings that they may be having. And so that gets reported up through an app. And there's several of us within the district level and within the sheriff's office who get that messaging. And so you can kind of look at that when they have concerns for their friends and see the trends and that sort of thing. So anything like that is reported. And that's a state of Florida app.
Right.
And it's heavily used in our district. As well.
Okay.
And then we do also, we haven't done it with our group this year, but we will at our next meeting. We have the focus groups and we talk about these things, like how, what from a safety perspective are you seeing or not seeing, or what are you concerned about, or what makes you feel really safe at school?
Yeah. Well, that's great. And it's good to have the parents be aware of this as well. So hopefully as you're having discussions, and maybe the school board themselves having a day that just says, let the parents come in and say some things that might change what they're doing, and maybe they can understand some more things too. So again, it's part of a group, together. Well, I did this poem, and I thought it'd be a good time to do it. We'll see. I'm not sure, so we'll find that out in a second. So what this poem says is called "Ringing the Bell," and I think probably you've heard of this. The school bell rings after students arrive each morning while learning and knowing the years to come. Do you remember your first day at school when you wondered why you had to leave your home, and yet you smiled and sometimes cried? But those were uncommon days that soon went away by making friends that would last throughout years to come. Maybe there were teachers you still remember who made you think, and that would change your life and give you hope because they cared. Soon you were growing up because you had to know everything good and bad that keeps us on the path for many reasons. It's interesting what you learned, inspired you, and made you the person you are now, and gave you a passion to help others as they helped you. Even now, you are still learning. The world is changing with so many new things that changes our lives. But by learning when you were in school, the bell you heard still rings deep in your heart and soul, especially if you realize that's the reason for this holiday season. Stop and think how many times you remember what you learned and how that made a difference in your life. Let's not forget that the best schools are made by people like you, who gave you and help you learn and give you opportunities that last forever. So as we are focusing on reflection of all we're doing, reflection of what you've been doing, Christina, what you've been doing, Doctor, is to understand this and to understand how things have happened from beginning to I ain't so, that I'm here for you to help each other, and how that has reflected you of being where you are today, because you had been an assistant superintendent, but you were also teaching for a while. And then you quit doing that and did 100% on being in the superintendent. And now eventually you had a short period of time that you were in another place. And then you came here and came back and was one of the people that was out to be chosen with 3 other people or 2 other people, I forget, but either 2 or 3 other people, and they chose you. So tell me the reflections that have happened in your life, because I know your wife has been with you. She's here is also in the school system, and so I know that you've had different things politically that have affected you, and there's been a reflection that has changed that, because I know when I first met you at Rotary, I saw a difference. So tell me what those reflections are for you.
Yeah, so that's a large bag of reflections over the years.
Well, it is, but it still brings you to where you're at now.
That is absolutely true. I know when I was teaching, when I first was my first 5 years of teaching was in Title I. And so I learned a lot about families who they were low socioeconomic families. And coming out of college, and you're thinking all these kids are just going to want to sit there and listen to everything you have to say about math, when that's not true.
Yeah.
And so you learn that very, very quickly, but it's even beyond that. It's more about the families and, like I said, the background, the environment, and making sure everybody has what they need. And so I learned quite a bit about that, the lifestyle of those students who were in those areas and those neighborhoods that I was involved in, and learned a lot about different cultures, which was excellent. Because the students, in order for them to learn, they really need to know that you care about them. And the only way to do that is to understand where they come from and what their background is. And so I learned quite a bit from that. But then also, as principal in different levels, middle school, high school, different areas, learned a tremendous amount being under different leaders and so on and so forth. So reflecting on that as you kind of create your own leadership style and so on. Very, very important. Moving into HR department, learned everything about human resources, which is a whole different thought process there. And then chief of, deputy superintendent of academics, and then deputy superintendent of operations, seeing both sides of the county on that, what's going on. When I reflect on that, very important to learn all those areas. And then, going to the other district as superintendent, learned quite a bit. And I can honestly say, when I look back, I know God put me in certain spots to learn something.
Absolutely.
And he did it on purpose, and there was a reason. And at the time, you're not really sure until you kind of go through it, and then you reflect back and you realize, oh, that was why. Because all those periods of time and all that experience gained has really helped me move forward and be in this position and work through, everything that I have to work through as superintendent. And so I've learned quite a bit. I understand why God put me in certain spots. And then I am completely blessed to be here in St. John's working with the folks that we have. And so I think it's constantly a learning experience, constantly trying to understand why you're here, why did God put you here, what are you supposed to learn from this so that you can move forward and help people. And then you go through this transformative time where all of a sudden it's not that it's like about you, but it's about the students. It's about working through, it's helping families and everything. But what can you do to help other leaders move forward as they grow? And you wouldn't have that if you didn't have something in your path along the way that you can reflect on to help others. And so I think, when you put all of that together, it helps me to be very comfortable in my skin in this position, and working with the awesome people that I work with, like Christina. She's incredible. It's fantastic. And at the same time, being able to help others move forward, because when we retire, somebody else needs to step up and make sure that St. Johns County continues to grow and keep those standards high. Right. Yeah. And so, so I think part of what you were saying about reflections, you do have to stop and you have to think about that. What am I supposed to learn? What was I supposed to learn from that? And it brings peace, because you can get really upset with the politics and all the nonsense and all the noise and all the crazy things going on out there. But what do you learn from that? And then how do you have peace with that so you can take that information and move forward to help others? And so that's really what I have gotten out of it. All the different years that I've been in education, 37 now, there's something to be learned every single year about something that you can move forward and help people with. So,
well, I'm going to ask Christina about the same questions as it relates to that, because I know you've been in different places. Mm-hmm. I know you've helped other people, and I know that you've had some other things family-wise and things too. And I know all of that, part of that, even though we've never met. Mm-hmm. And I think that today I would be really interested in what has changed you in reflecting back onto the things here that helps us here in St. Johns County and helps you and helps other families?
I think much like what Dr. Asplin said, the experiences that we have help to shape us, and you can reflect back on what that experience was and come out stronger from it and realize that God has a plan to help you through those most difficult times. And I've been through some difficult times, and both work-wise and personally. And I think that it helps me to reflect on that and to move forward and see things in a different light. Sometimes I have a father that has dementia, and he's in a memory care center right now, and he turned 84 yesterday, and just being able to spend that time with him and take a walk just even outside his facility when usually, it's just there to see him. And so just helps me to reflect on my life and doing things for other people. I think, we're in a season where it's giving and giving, and my office looks like a toy store. It blew up in there right now. But I was just thinking this morning how wonderful it is to be giving back. And I wish I could just do that all the time. That could be my job. But and working, we have a faith-based advisory committee that's very robust within that supports our district. And so just learning and working with other people and working through experiences, and sometimes being that person to help others through a tough time. I mean, work-wise, I was with the city of Jacksonville, and I absolutely loved that job. I thought I would retire from that job. And I worked under the leadership of Mayor Delaney and then Mayor Payton. Loved those experiences. And then, like I said earlier in your show, I was afforded my free agent status against my will, but I was one of 54 individuals who were provided that opportunity not to work for the mayor anymore when we had a new mayor come in. And again, I think that was a God thing, because it brought me to this district. I will never forget getting that call from Joe, being Dr. Joyner, when I was sitting in a Panera having lunch,
Right.
and he wanted to just meet with me because they needed some help. My predecessor had been out for a while, and so they just needed some help and needed me to come in and help guide them through some public relations and communications activities. And so, and then I'm just here, and so, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to be a part of this district, part of Dr. Asplin's team and Mr. Forson's team and Dr. Joyner's team. And so this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
yeah.
That's great. Well, I know that as we're going through this, each of us have had different things. And not only the family matters, which I've gone through very much so with the Alzheimer, and also with losing both my mother and my wife within 2 years of each other and within 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And both were done in October, 19 and 21. And so when you're thinking about just those things, I was thinking about it the other day, and I had done another poem yesterday that is, when you're looking at photos, and I think that's the photos that we're going to end with today with you, is that effectively you remember so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you see the time that you've had together versus the times when it started dropping away. And when you do that, it's the same thing you do with teachers. Because I remember having one math teacher, and then I'll tell you about it another time, but not on show, but I'll tell you about that and how that happened. But also when I went to college, I learned something about how math could be done so well. And they had two people. One who was a very tall and absolutely an academic person that was so strong. And then the other one was also a PhD, but he had a lot of ability to talk. And he said, let me show you about what he meant. And so now we did it, and then we would be able to, if you didn't know, you had to go all the way to the front. Well, I wanted to get all the way to the back. I didn't want to be in the front. And it's on one of those things that you're looking straight down.
Mhm.
And well, I started down low and I came up to the top and made it because I knew I could do math,
Mhm.
but my other teacher at high school didn't think so.
Mhm.
So he thought I was just going to be somebody carrying something through. So anyway, so I know that all of these things are like photos, like life, like what you're feeling within your heart and soul, and it all comes together when you know where you are with God.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference that you both have said, because there is no other place to go.
Mhm.
There is none. What are we here for on earth? Why were we born? What was our purpose? What was the things that we should be doing? What is the things that we shouldn't have done? What did we say? What did we want to forget? What do we forgive? And all of those things are so difficult until you start thinking about it and reflecting on each of those things. So as we finish up right now, let's kind of go into a few more things that I think will end up this day. We're about to be beginning with Hanukkah today.
Yes.
That goes through, and then we have Christmas coming up. What do you do with the school? Because you're closing up. You're closing up. And so what happens now? Tell me how the schools are doing, and kids are gone, and they don't want to come back right away. So, and the parents want to take them somewhere.
Right.
And so they don't want to bring them back too soon. And
Right.
so they all have an issue. They say, well, I never could do this. I can't do it if I don't go this way at this time and all this. So tell me how that's working out.
Yeah, so it's very exciting right now this time of year, especially in the elementary school. The last half of the week, it's going to be full of different events, and actually the last few weeks have been events, high school events with musicals and band and concerts and such, and it's just been fantastic. But yeah, at the end of this week, we will close the schools, and everybody will go on their way for a couple of weeks and have some great family time, hopefully, and family and friends, and create great memories as they're gone. Now, for us in the school system, during those 2 weeks, we usually will still have different people working on different projects that we
Sure.
can't necessarily get done when the students are there, and sometimes we'll have different companies if we do outsource something, perhaps like stripping and waxing floors and things of that nature. That'll happen during the break, so it's all ready to go when everybody gets back.
Like restaurants that clean out the throat.
Yep,
Yeah.
fixing all kinds of things,
Right.
And so we'll go through that process, and then we'll come back and open back up again. Our teachers will be here on Friday, the 2nd of January, kind of get themselves back in order, and then the students will come Monday, January 5th. So, we're always excited and looking forward to that when we come back. So, and I think the students are too. I know, especially the elementary students. I have a little grandson. He's 7 years old right now, and he loves going to school. They love seeing their friends and hanging out and everything else. And so, after that 2 weeks, they're ready to come back and see everybody if they haven't, because they've been traveling or what.
Right.
High school, a lot of them will still have sports activities going on because it is scheduled even during
Basketball
that
and all
time.
that. Yeah.
And so they'll still be connected with that, and then going and join their family at different areas, and then come back, and then we'll be going into another sports season right off the bat.
Sure. Baseball's coming up.
Baseball's coming up,
Yeah,
and
that's
lacrosse is coming up, and some of that overlaps, So it's always very exciting, but I think it does give everybody a little chance to kind of relax and recharge and be with family and friends.
It's called a new year.
It's a new year. That's
It's
exactly
a new
right.
year. It's a
So,
new year.
so we're always looking forward to that. A good ending to a first semester.
Yeah, that's great. And with you, tell me what's happening in your end of the world of during the holidays, and what you expect is going to happen at the beginning of the year.
So at the beginning of the year, we'll be off and running, certainly. But I think during the holidays, it really is a chance, because with the entire district being closed during those holiday weeks, you don't have people who are working when you're not working. And so it really does force you into a situation to rest, relax, and recharge. And so I'm grateful for that time that we have
Sure.
to be able to do that. I am absolutely thrilled from a personal perspective that I'll have my girls here and we'll be celebrating the holidays together with family and friends. And that's exactly what I want to use that time for. We are within community relations. We're trying to close up some things that, wrap them up with a bow before we go out for the holidays. And then just looking forward to the new year and some things that we need to accomplish from my department's perspective.
Well, I know
So,
that that's true with all of us, that we're going to be trying to find a little time that we don't have to do a lot of the same things that we do all the time. And I want to kind of finish this up with everybody here and thank you all. First of all, thank you all for being here today.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Rick.
And
Thank
being
you.
able to be involved. But I want to make sure that you are having a great holiday yourself. And I want you to know that whether you're Hanukkah and whether you're in another religion or anything else spiritually, this is the time to remember. This is a time to remember and reflect upon where you are with God. And that's your plan, not mine. That's yours. You have that choice. You can do it or not do it. That's who you are. But I can tell you this, that if you are willing and able, God will lead you to a path that you would never forget. And you'll never be wanting to do anything else but loving him and thanking him for everything he's done. So thank you for Christmas. Thank you for letting me be with you this year. I'm grateful and thankful. And I'm also thankful for Chris Shee and DJ Clamshack and those who've helped me this year and all of the different people that have been sitting in these same chairs that you're sitting in now. I'm so grateful that you were with us too. And may God be with you and guide you and protect you as we speak today and say, Happy New Year.